Apps can do a lot of cool things. You could order dinner, gamble on your favorite team, and track your health. You could even get a mortgage. One click and you can be approved. I'm not sure by who or what country they're in. You deserve more from the mortgage industry. At AnyMac Home Mortgage, we believe in the need for live human interaction during a very complex process. The kind of service and guidance which an app simply can't provide. Our customers are more than credit scores and income documents. They're individuals and families who live in and strengthen our communities. Their story is our story, and that story begins in a home. Chris Sawyer is an expert on providing superior customer service and in meeting the mortgage needs of current and future homebuyers. With over 18 years of experience in the industry, Chris is able to help customers migrate through the home buying and home financing process by using his wealth of knowledge as a well-qualified mortgage professional. And best of all, Chris is located in Cromwell, Connecticut, where he has helped hundreds of clients in Connecticut, Massachusetts, and Rhode Island make their dreams of home ownership a reality. Visit chrissawyer.any-mac.com. Email him at csawyer@any-mac.com or give him a call, 860-878-8730.
Chris Sawyer, NMLS number 39345, corporate NMLS number 338923. AnyMac Home Mortgage is an equal housing lender. American Neighborhood Mortgage Acceptance Company, LLC. DBA AnyMac Home Mortgage. LoFi Direct. Connecticut First Mortgage Correspondent. License lender. Broker number ML 338923. Massachusetts Mortgage Lender and Mortgage Broker License number MC 338923. Rhode Island License Lender. License number 2011280L. Call for additional details.
Jones on first down, wide open, it's Barkley, and Saquon Barkley will take it into the end zone.
Your best ability is availability. Saquon Barkley, he's great when he's on the field, but the problem is since 2018, he hasn't been healthy for this team.
Look at this, they lob it to him, he taps it in off the glass. How about that?
Porter Moser, I think right now is the best coach in college basketball, hands down.
Fins 2 for 3, he's done his part. Pitch is drilled to deep right field toward the pole, and it is gone.
They don't mind not being what they were in the 90s as the best organization in baseball, because the Yankees are even close to the best organization in baseball.
You're trying to be the Rays, and the Rays do this for a reason. Like, you're the Yankees.
Sports Talk with R&J. I am Steve Risser, along here with Justin D'Onofrio. And we are here, Divisional Round weekend, one of the best weekends of football of the entire season. And I am happy that my Giants are in it. Who would have thought at the beginning of the season the Giants would be playing in the Divisional Round of the playoffs after being 4-13 last year? Brian Dable has done an outstanding job this year, and they will head to Philadelphia for a third shot at the Philadelphia Eagles this year. In the first game, obviously, the Eagles destroyed them. Second game, and this is why a lot of people think the Giants have a chance this week. The second game, even though the Giants rested a lot of starters, they only lost that game by 6 points. I mean, I think this is going to be a very interesting game. Third matchup between these division rivals in Philadelphia, which obviously will be an advantage for the Eagles. But I think this game's going to be close. I think this game is going to be a close game. I think the Giants will be able to move the ball a little bit against the Eagles. I do think that the Eagles do, just like the Vikings, the Eagles play zone 2. Now, you'll see the Eagles play more man. I don't think the Eagles will do what the Vikings did. If they see the Giants having success with those crossing routes, they're going to play man coverage. They're not going to do what Minnesota did and played zone coverage all the game. That was a horrific game plan by the Minnesota Vikings. So I do think the Giants do have success moving the ball. I do think Daniel Jones continues to have success with Isaiah Hodgins. I do think Saquon Barkley gets some yardage on the ground. But I think ultimately what the difference in this game is going to be is I think the Giants are going to get into the red zone, but I think they're going to kick field goals. I don't think they're going to score. I think they score like one touchdown in this game. They get 3 or 4 field goals, and I think when the Eagles get down there, they're going to get touchdowns. I think the big difference is the skill guys. The skill guys on the Eagles are clearly better, and I think that's going to be the difference in this game. I think Jalen Hurts is going to have a pretty good game. I think Wick Martindale is going to bring pressure. I think that's going to be the Giants' game plan. They are going to try to pressure Jalen Hurts and keep him in the pocket. That's going to be the game plan. Not have Hurts hurt them. Not have Jalen Hurts hurt them with his legs. I think they're going to keep Jalen Hurts in the pocket. I think they're going to bring pressure like he did in that second matchup too. Martindale did bring pressure, and Hurts did struggle there as well. But I do think Jalen Hurts, I don't think he was totally healthy in week 18, but I think he's more healthy. I think the Eagles will have a good amount of success with Miles Sanders on the ground. I do think, like I said, the Giants will move the ball. But if you look at these two teams, where are the Giants better than the Eagles? They're not better at quarterback. They're not better at the skill positions. They're not better on the offensive line. They're not better on the defensive line. They're not better at linebacker. They're not better in the secondary. The only spot you could say the Giants are better is at running back. That is it. And that's why ultimately, as a Giants fan, I hate to do this, but I am going to go with the Eagles. The Giants, they've had a great year, but they're just not there yet. They're not there yet. They're coming. They're coming. By next year, I think they're going to be a Super Bowl contender, but I just don't think they are there yet. And that's why I am going with the Philadelphia Eagles to win this game 27-19. And Hector just made a comment, better coach. That's up for debate, but I probably would agree with you. I probably would agree. I probably definitely take Brian Daboll right now over Nick Sirianni. I think Nick Sirianni's done a really good job, but Brian Daboll has done an outstanding job and should be the coach of the year. But in this game, I am going to go with the Eagles to win this one 27-19 over the Giants. But Justin, can the third time be the charm for the Giants against the Eagles?
Yeah, I'm with you. I got the Eagles as well, 27-20. I just think, I think there's going to be just too much of a battle for the Giants. Boston Scott's been like a giant killer. In his 8 games, he's got over 400 rushing yards, with 10 touchdowns. He's his best games have been against the Giants for whatever reason. And I think the other problem for the Giants is, too, how do you slow down this Philadelphia Eagles pass rush? So they got 70 sacks on the year. The Giants gave up, their offensive line gave up the most pressures all year. How do you slow them down? Daniel Jones played really, really well last week, but yeah, this is going to be a much better defense this week going up against the Eagles. We'll see if the Eagles have a little bit of rust or having the bye, but they got healthy, and I think that's kind of where they may struggle in this one. But I think because they got nothing to lose in this game, that I think you're going to see Daboll probably come up with some, and the rest of the offense kind of come up with some interesting play calls to try to, take a shot or two with a trick play or something like that. Like, I think you're going to see something outside of the box from the Giants to try to, to try to hit something big here and try to maybe get something going early. But I think the Giants got to stay in this thing kind of, the longer they stay in it, the better the chance they got, they're in the lead. So I just think, right now the Eagles, I just think have a little bit too much time for the Giants, but I'm right there with you. This Giants team, it's only going to get better. And with Daboll too, he's been a great fit for this team. So yeah, the future's bright, but yeah, they're just not on the Eagles level yet.
No, but you made a good point, a really good point, bringing up the pass rush of the Eagles. And the key is if Saquon Barkley doesn't have a huge game, the Giants are not going to win it. Saquon Barkley has got to go for 100 yards in this game. He has got to have a humongous. He was good last week. He's got to be outstanding this week for the Giants to win this game, because Daniel Jones is not going to beat this team all by himself. He's not going to beat this. He's not going to beat this Eagles team with no help. They need Saquon Barkley to have a humongous game, because if he does it, if he has a really bad game, it's going to be like the first game. That Eagles pass rush is going to tee off on Daniel Jones, because the Giants offensive line is still not that good. They really arguably only have one good offensive lineman in Andrew Thomas. So if Saquon Barkley can't do his part on the ground or in the passing game, the Giants are going to get beat, and they're probably going to get beat bad. Here's the thing about this game. The only way the Giants win this game is if it's within one score. I could see the Eagles winning this game by 2 or 3 scores. So the biggest thing for the Giants, what they got to do, if they're going to win this game, they need Saquon to be outstanding, and they got to get pressure on Jalen Hurts. If they don't do those 2 things, they don't have a chance.
Yeah, you talk about Barkley. I think that's when we've seen the Eagles really struggle this year. When teams are able to kind of control the football, control the clock. It's been with that running game. That's that Washington beat them that way. The Colts kind of had them on the ropes there. But that's when the Eagles have kind of felt fraudulent. What was that?
New Orleans too. New Orleans
game too. Yep. So that's kind of Barkley and that Giants team, they could, if they have success, I can absolutely see them going in there and knocking them off, but they got to be able to, as you mentioned, run the football. And if that Eagles pressure can get to Daniel Jones, it's, if they can't slow them down, it's going to be a long night. He's going to have to get rid of the football quickly. Like Slayton had a big drop there in the fourth quarter. Like that's something like, you got to kind of help out Daniel Jones, because there's going to be times where he's going to have to try to make, a throw with 3 guys in his face. And so those wide receivers are going to need to help him out, as well, because he's bearing the pressure a lot in this one.
Absolutely, absolutely. They can't have a drop like they had last week and expect to beat the Eagles. I mean, you can beat Kirk Cousins and you can beat the Minnesota Vikings doing something like that. You can't beat this Eagles team having a drop pass like that at the end of the game, especially when Jones puts it right in your hands to win the game and you can't catch the ball. And that's been a problem with Darius Slayton throughout his entire career. But I think a reason why the Giants do have a chance is, say the Eagles play zone coverage and they give a guy like Isaiah Hodgins openings. He could really I think Hodgins could take advantage of that. But I just don't think the Eagles, if the Giants are doing well with those crossing routes, if doing those crossing routes in the middle of the field, I just don't think the Eagles are going to let that happen all day. I definitely think they're going to make an adjustment. This isn't Ed Donatel. Jonathan Gannon is a better defensive coordinator. Ed Donatel is old and needs to be fired. And Jonathan Gannon is a new offensive coordinator. You saw last year the Eagles didn't blitz a lot. They played a lot of zone coverage. They've mixed it up a little bit more this year, and they've had a ton of success.
Yeah, they have. They got 70 sacks on the year, so that's over 4 a game. Right? So they've been unbelievable. Again, the quarterback, yeah, they've done a great job just mixing things up, keeping the offense off balance. So yeah, it's going to be a totally different defense. But I think too, the way that offense the Giants played last week, there's got to be a lot of confidence in that team too, which which is good to kind of have that momentum right now. But yeah, it's going to be a tall task. It's tough to beat a team 3 times, like in any sport, I guess, besides besides like baseball, but with the 3-game series. But other than it's kind of tough. So yeah, we'll see what the Giants are able to do. They got Barkley. Jones. The way Jones is playing, I think fans are a lot more confident in Daniel Jones. But yeah, it's to be a tough uphill battle. But yeah, for the Giants going out there, they can't beat themselves in this game. The Eagles are so good, they're not going to make a lot of mistakes. But as you mentioned, yeah, like a big drop like that from Slayton last week, you're not going to be able to win. You're not going up to Philly and beating them this week. So yeah, the Giants can't beat themselves this week.
Oh, not at all, not at all. And the last thing with this game is Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts has struggled a little bit going into the playoffs. I mean, no touchdowns, 3 picks. His last touchdown pass was against the Eagles. So the health of Jalen Hurts is definitely going to play a factor here too. If he has trouble, if he has trouble, throwing the ball, it's definitely it could definitely hurt them, especially if the Giants do a good job keeping him in the pocket. If he does have trouble throwing the ball, that definitely could hurt the Eagles as well.
Yeah, it definitely could. If he's not, yeah, because he did look pretty healthy. Now he's got a couple of weeks. So yeah, I assume he's probably pretty close to being at 100%. But I guess we'll find out, Saturday night. But yeah, the Giants can kind of contain him and keep him in the pocket. If their passer can kind of get to him, but yeah, because he's so good when he can get out in the open field. He can make some plays on the run outside of the pocket. So yeah, if the Giants can kind of contain him, make him force him stay in there. And they can kind of get a sack or 2 in a big spot. Yeah, it'll be huge for the Giants. Martindale. Yeah, Martindale's going to bring pressure. He's gonna, he'll dial some things up. But probably something that try something that maybe Jalen Hurts hasn't seen. But yeah, if the Giants kind of let him sit back there all day and he's got time to throw or even get outside the pocket if he's got room and to run the football, yeah, it's going to be a long night for that Giants defense.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if he has time and he's able to throw the ball, yeah. I mean, even if he's not 100%, he's got so many weapons. He's got, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert. He's got so many weapons out there. Yeah, the key, 2 keys for the Giants, and I'll say it all week: pressure Jalen Hurts and get that running game going. Those are the 2 biggest keys for the Giants to pull this upset.
Yeah, absolutely. For me, it's got to be slow down that Eagles that Eagles pass rush, and yeah, they're gonna need and slow down that Eagles offense. Just try to even if it's just keeping them off the field, just be able to run the football with Barkley, and just hope to keep the Eagles off the field long enough for to just try to contain that defense or try to help out your defense just a little bit against them.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. So we'll move on to the other matchup in the NFC, and that is between the Cowboys and the Niners. The Cowboys looked really good in their playoff game against the Buccaneers, beating them 31-14. The Niners, a little bit of a struggle for the Niners, but after that fumble, that game completely turned around against the Seahawks. So in this matchup, I think it's going to be a really, really close competitive game. I think the biggest key to this game is and I think if whatever team does this better, I think wins the game. I think it's going to come down to Christian McCaffrey. I think if Christian McCaffrey has a big game, he's been really good the last 6 weeks. Has rushed for over 100 yards 4 times in the last 6 weeks. Ironically, those are the 6 times that Brock Purdy has started. If Christian McCaffrey has a big game, I think it's going to be very, very hard for the Cowboys to win this game because I think they're going to have a lot of issues with the 49ers, with the 49ers offense if McCaffrey has a big game. If he doesn't, I think the Cowboys have a legit chance because you saw what they did last week, their defense, when they were able to shut down Tampa's running game. Now, Tampa's running game is absolutely horrendous. That run game is terrible. This is a much different animal. But if they contain McCaffrey, I do think they could have a chance because guys like, you see that pass rush with Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence. If they can get pressure on Brock Purdy, it could be a difficult game for the Niners. If the Niners get behind, the one thing about Brock Purdy is we have not seen the 49ers get behind in games. We really haven't seen them get too far behind. In pretty much all their games, I mean, his first start against the Bucs, they were winning the whole time. His first start against the Seahawks, they were winning the whole time. His first start against the Commanders, they were winning the whole time. And in the game against the Raiders, yeah, that was the one time they were losing, but they were able to, McCaffrey they were behind maybe early in the third, but McCaffrey was still able to bring them back. If they get behind, if they're down 2 scores in the fourth quarter, they're not going to win this game. So the key for the Cowboys is they need to contain McCaffrey and get a 2-score lead late into the third quarter. And if they do, they're in good shape. But the issue is going to be I don't think they're stopping McCaffrey. I think McCaffrey is going to have a big game. He's going to go for over 100 yards. I think the Niners move the ball really, really well in this game, and Brock Purdy throws a couple of touchdown passes. But I do think on the other side, I think Dak has a big game. I think Dak has a pretty good game. Not a great game, but a pretty good game. I think he throws a couple of touchdown passes. I think he's hot. I think he continues to stay hot. But here's the thing. I think it'll be just like last year, where the game is on the line and the ball is in Dak's hands and he doesn't get it done. And that's why I got the Niners advancing. Because if it comes down to that Niners defense against Dak Prescott at the end, I'm taking the Niners defense. And that's why I got them advancing to the NFC Championship game for the third time in 4 years and beating the Dallas Cowboys 28-20. But Justin, can the drought be over for the Cowboys? Can the Cowboys finally get to the NFC Championship game?
I'm with you at the Niners as well, 23-17. Yeah, for the Cowboys, again, Dak probably had his best game last week against the Bucs, but I'm not trying to take away from the Cowboys. Actually, here's Hector's comment. I could see the Niners forcing Dak to throw the ball a lot. Niners defense solid. Yeah,
They're going to. But on that, but for that point, you saw DK Metcalf have a big game. I think CeeDee Lamb could have a really big game too against that Niners defense. So yeah, but I think I think they're definitely going to force Dak to throw a lot because I think the Niners are definitely going to contain the Cowboys' run game.
Yeah, absolutely. They only gave up just around like 80 rushing yards a game. They've been really solid, and I think that tandem of Elliott and Pollard, I think, could have a tough day trying to get anything going in the running game. So yeah, that may be a difficult task for the Cowboys. But yeah, Dak probably put his best game of the year last week against the Bucs. But I'm not trying to think anything away from the Cowboys, but was that more the Bucs just being the Bucs all year, a mediocre team?
I think it was kind of that. Listen, I picked them, so I was dead wrong about that game. I picked them, so I'll admit I was dead wrong about that game. But yeah, it kind of looked like the Bucs. From what we've seen all season long, just a completely inconsistent team that couldn't run the football. Their defense was not as good. It was really what we saw from the Bucs all year, and the Bucs absolutely looked like the worst team in the postseason on Monday night.
Yeah, they absolutely did. It was terrific, and yeah, that was the Bucs all year. You just you never that team just never kind of was able to get out of another. It was just a mediocre football team, and Monday night they were lucky the score wasn't worse than it was. So yeah, that Bucs team, they did not play well Monday night. So I'm not trying to take them away from the Cowboys, but yeah, so it's a totally different animal now going to San Fran this weekend and playing those guys. But yeah, if Micah Parsons can get in the face of Brock Purdy, because this is probably the best defense Purdy's played, since becoming the starting quarterback. So, and definitely probably the best pass rush with Parsons coming in there. Like if he can get in his face a couple times, make him up, because there's a couple throws Purdy looked really good on last week, but again, there's a couple throws that he should have made, and he missed a couple open guys. So, which is always going to happen, the rookie. But I think Dallas can kind of put him in maybe some unique situations that he hasn't been with, and maybe a third and long or, the third and long or something like that where maybe they make him rush a throw or something. He makes a turnover. And I also think with CeeDee Lamb that Cowboys, a couple of their secondary guys, they could kind of like a Dalton Schultz and Michael Gallup, they can get a couple of big plays against that defense as well. Kind of help out Dak Prescott, maybe take something off of, some pressure off of CeeDee Lamb as well. I think that could be huge for the Cowboys as well.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about Brock Purdy is, and I said it earlier, I mean, he's played really well, but outside of that Raider game, he's been mostly playing from in front. I'm telling you, if he gets behind by a couple scores, and he might not in this game because the Niners could have a lot of success running the ball, but if he gets way behind, like, say they're down, for example, 24-13 late in the third quarter, I think it's going to be very, very hard for him to come back because we've never really seen him do it before. The thing about this matchup is the Cowboys clearly have the better quarterback in Dak Prescott, but the Niners have the better roster and the better coaching. So that's why I think this game is going to be close. But again, if Purdy gets behind by multiple scores in this game, I think he's going to have a very, very difficult time coming back.
Yeah. Yeah, because even at now I'd have to go back and look because I'm just thinking about this right now. But even at those Iowa State teams he had, what he played on, they weren't built to come from behind either. That team was kind of like
they were built
on the running game.
David Montgomery,
Yeah.
Breece Hall. Breece Hall. Yep.
He made. So yeah, I don't think he made. So I don't know how many come back from behind because that team wasn't built to come from behind either. So yeah, he may have not done it a ton in college either. But it's something that's been new territory for him where we haven't seen yet, and that it could be a problem for him this week, and we'll find out. But yeah, what happens when that does when he does fall behind? Again, Deebo Samuel's looked pretty healthy since coming back, which is huge for him. But yeah, you never know how rookie quarterback's going to do in that moment. So it'll be interesting if he's got to face that test this weekend.
Absolutely, and this is a huge game for Dak's legacy. This is a humongous game for Dak's legacy because say Dak gets the Cowboys to the NFC Championship game, I think he surpasses Tony Romo. I think he's a better quarterback than Tony Romo because Romo never got the Cowboys at this point. The Cowboys have never been in this situation. You weren't even born the last time the Cowboys got to an NFC Championship game. I was 4 years old, so I think this is a humongous game for Dak's legacy. If Dak could take this team to a place it's never been in almost 30 years, I think you're definitely putting him out of Tony Romo. And he's starting to get up there with Staubach and Aikman. Yeah,
no, I agree. It's something again. They just won their first road game in the playoffs in the first 93. It's been 30 years since they won a road game. So yeah, and I know there was a lot. We've been hard on Dak this year. I know a lot of Cowboys fans have been, especially since he's come back and he's not played well. But yeah, if he again, you throw those all out. If he could go to San Francisco this week and get another win, so yeah, Tony Romo never got there. And Tony Romo obviously had some pretty good teams when he was on the Cowboys. So, yeah, I think Dak would because he just, Tony Romo was never able to get them over the hump in that. But I would have to take Dak, because he's been pretty good. I know this year he's down here, but he's had some pretty good numbers. But yeah, he'd get over the hump for this Cowboys team this year.
Yeah, I mean, this would to me, I know the Cowboys talk about winning the Super Bowl, it's Super Bowl or failure. If they win this game, this is the most successful Cowboys season since they won the Super Bowl in 95. This will be, if the Cowboys win this game, this will be such an emotional win for this franchise. I guarantee if the Cowboys win this game, they will be celebrating like they won the Super Bowl because it has been so long since they've gotten over this hump. We remember, 07 against the Giants, Romo throws the pick. The game against the Vikings where Romo didn't play well in. The game in 2014, the Dez catch, no catch. Then 16, the Rodgers game, and then the Rams game. This is the sixth time in 16 years. In the last 16 years, the Cowboys have been playing in the divisional round. They've lost their last 5. They've lost their last 6 games in the divisional round, but since 2007, this is their 6th trip to the divisional round. They've lost all 5 of those games. If the Cowboys win this game, it'll be like them winning the Super Bowl. I'm not kidding you. It'll be like them winning the Super Bowl because they've just been so long since they've made it to this point.
Yeah, because there's there's a lot of Cowboy fans that around my age that have never seen the Cowboys get to the NFC.
They're going to deny it. The Cowboys will deny it, but they are going to celebrate like they won the Super Bowl if they win this game.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because there's a whole generation of fans that haven't seen it yet. That have not seen the Cowboys which as crazy as that sounds, it's it is crazy for for that franchise. It's been that long since they've gotten there, but yeah, they definitely would be. Because the whole generation, and it's just been they just haven't been able to get over the hump, and for whatever reason, they've had some tough luck and all that, but yeah, it's been difficult. And Hector's comments, lots of confidence here in Texas for these Cowboy fans. I can't stop hearing it.
Yeah. I know. This is what happens when they start winning. They start getting confident. That game, they probably weren't too confident going into Monday night, and now they're all confident because they destroyed, an 8-9 team. Listen, I picked them. My mistake, but I think it's destroyed an 8-9 team on Monday Night Football. But yeah, it's gonna be weird though for Giant fans too, in terms of the rooting interest they have in this game. Because say that they win the game, they're gonna want the Cowboys to win the game. And say they lose the game, they're definitely going to want the Niners to win the game. And it's vice versa for the Eagle fans, too. Say they win the game, they want the Cowboys to win because they want to play the Cowboys in the NFC Championship game. And say they lose the game, they're definitely going to want the Niners to win the game. So it's going to be weird, the rooting interest of with the Giant Eagle fan base, depending on what they do on Saturday. And Hector says they want us to win. Oh yeah, the Cowboys definitely want us to win. They want to be hosting that NFC Championship game in Jerry World.
Oh yeah, that place would be that place down there in Dallas next week. Well, with the Giants are going down there, even
oh my god,
that place would be crazy. A madhouse.
Yeah.
So it's definitely one of those things. Yeah, it'll be weird. Yeah, the rooting interest in that game for the possibilities for what happened, but I know a couple of Dallas fans. Some of them weren't very confident. Some of them were very confident, and one even was kind of laughing when I said, "No, I think the Bucs are going to beat them tonight." But I texted him after, I was like, "You're right."
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. So, but I think ultimately in this game, what determines this game is going to be the run game, and I just don't think. Why I think the Niners are going to win is I just don't think they're going to be able to stop that run game. I think Christian McCaffrey is going to have another humongous game. And then the second reason, with Dak, with the game on the line against this defense, we saw it last year. This team has confidence. This defense has confidence against Dak late in the game. And this Niners team has confidence against Dallas because they went in there last year and got a win. So I think it's three reasons why. I think McCaffrey, the confidence the Niners have playing the Cowboys, their win last year definitely gives the Niners confidence. And I just don't trust Dak. I think Dak's a very good quarterback, but I don't trust him late in the game against this defense.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think it comes. Yeah, Dak makes a big mistake late in that game. That cost them the game. I think that Niners defense plays really well again. I think they do enough to slow down CeeDee Lamb, and I don't know if Dalton Schultz or Michael Gallup can make enough plays to help Dallas out to get enough of some chunk plays for him. And I think the Niners. And I think McCaffrey has a good game on the ground. I think he does enough. I think the Cowboys. I think they keep the Cowboys defense off balance, and Brock Purdy is able to capitalize off some play action passes. And the game makes enough plays for the Niners to go. At home to knock off Dallas.
Yeah, exactly. Should be a really good game between these two teams. It's probably going to get one of the highest ratings of any playoff game on Sunday afternoon when these two teams go up against each other. But now we're going to move to the AFC, and we got a rematch from Week 10 as the Jaguars, who got to this point led by a huge comeback by Trevor Lawrence. I mean, he was terrible in the first half, but he was outstanding in the second half. Doug Peterson, him and Brian Daboll are 1 and 2 for Coach of the Year. Doug Peterson has done a great job with this Jaguars team. And for this game, though, I think the better team's going to win this game. I think the biggest reason why the Chiefs win this game and win it by a couple scores is I think they contain Travis Etienne. They did it really well in the first matchup, held him to 45 yards rushing. The only chance the Jaguars have to win this game is if Travis Etienne has a huge game. Because if he doesn't, I feel like it's going to be very, very hard for Trevor Lawrence to keep up with Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes threw 4 touchdowns against this Jaguars team in Week 10. I think he has another huge game against this team. I think that the Chiefs contain the running game, and I do think they force Lawrence to make a mistake or two. And I think this is this game is the worst game of the weekend. No disrespect towards the Jags. I just feel like the Chiefs are playing really, really well, and the Jaguars are a little bit ahead of schedule. That's why I got Kansas City winning this game 31-17. But Justin, can Trevor Lawrence help the Jags pull a major upset in Kansas City?
I don't think they will. I got the Chiefs as well, 31-20. Their defense has been playing better, but against some of the better teams in the league this year, they've kind of struggled. And at the end of the year, that some of the offenses they played weren't outstanding. So they gave up 34 to the Cowboys, they gave up 40 to the Lions, they gave up 27 to a Ravens team with Lamar Jackson. The Chiefs put up 27 on them earlier in the year, so they've even been playing better, but they gave up 27 last week to the Chargers. I know they somehow came back, and Lawrence playing better. But yeah, I'm with you. I think it's like the Giants. I think they're ahead of schedule. They're another year away, and I just think for Lawrence and his team, can they? I don't know if they can capitalize enough off of Kansas City secondary, their weaknesses. I think he'll make some big plays. I think, Kirk Christian Kirk will make a couple big plays, possibly score a touchdown. But I just don't think their defense will be able to keep up. They've struggled against the tight end this year, and they gave up the third most catches to tight end this year. And if they can somehow slow down Travis Kelce and the 3 losses the Chiefs have this year, he only had 16 catches for 220 yards. So if they could somehow slow down Kelce, that's kind of been a sign that's kind of another way you can beat the Chiefs. But I don't think their secondary is good enough yet to slow down Patrick Mahomes in that offense. I just think it'd be too tough of a task, and that place is going to be a madhouse. And I think it's going to be too tough, especially for all the energy that they put in last week to come back from behind. Now you got to go to Arrowhead this week. I think it's just too tall of a task.
I think it is too. I think what the Jaguars got to do is they got to have ETN have a huge game. He's got to be great. ETN, it's just like Barkley's got to be great for the Giants. ETN has got to be great for the Jaguars, and they got to limit Travis Kelce. They got to find some way to limit Travis Kelce and make like a Valdez Scantling. No, I mean like a Juju Smith-Schuster or a Hardman or a Valdez Scantling. Make one of those guys beat you. But the problem is that's easier said than done with Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes lost Tyreek Hill. He still threw for 5,000 yards. He still threw 40 touchdown passes. That's why he is the best player in the NFL. And it's very, very hard for me to see him lose this game. I just think he's going to have a huge, he's going to have a really, really big day. And I think the one strength of Jacksonville is the best thing that Kansas City does. And so it's stopping the run with Chris Jones and Nick Bolton. I just, as great of a season the Jaguars have had, I just can't see them pulling off this win. But one thing Lawrence proved this year, he is clearly far and away the best quarterback in the 2021 draft class.
Yeah, he has been, really hasn't been close. I guess Fields has come along, but yeah, Wilson's been a total bust. Mac Jones we'll wait and see what happens with the OC situation there, the offense. But yeah, Lawrence has looked like the guy we all thought he was. And again, Doug Peterson was a perfect fit for him. It looked like he's got a lot of confidence on that. Again, that comeback he had last week, he's been awesome to watch. He's been fun to watch. And Jacksonville, for the first time in a while, they got a franchise quarterback, and they got a franchise quarterback that, is, again, probably another year or two away, but again, he'll be in the discussion as a top 10, top 5 quarterback, I think, in the next couple of years. Again, he's a generational talent coming out of college. I think with Doug Peterson and that team going to get older and better, I think, the future's really bright in Jacksonville. I think the future's really bright for Trevor Lawrence's career.
It absolutely is. It absolutely is. So now we will move on to the not the last game because the Cowboys and Niners is, but the other AFC game on Wild Card Weekend. This is a very interesting matchup between the Bills and the Bengals. We all know what happened the first time both these teams took the field, and we hoped it would be a great scene to see Damar Hamlin at the game. I mean, he wasn't there last week, but it's great to see him even in the facility. But it'd be great to see him at this game. And for this game, I don't think either team should really be happy with their performance in the wild card round. Buffalo was very, very sloppy in their win over the Dolphins. I mean, they got up 7. They got up big early, but then the turnovers from two careless turnovers from Josh Allen that led to they had three turnovers that led to 17 points. And then they had a kick return that led to another 3 points. That is the only way you're ever going to lose to a third string quarterback. And they're lucky Skylar Thompson made a horrendous decision on 3rd and 19. That decision was terrible.
I go to that McDaniels. Just run the ball there. Just don't even put in that situation.
McDaniel did not do it. I'm telling you, the Dolphins think they have a coach in Mike McDaniel. I completely disagree. I think some of his play calling and his leadership is. I know they got to the playoffs this year as the number 7 seed, but with the talent on that team, I expected them to get at least to the playoffs. I think there was some very, very that's another story for another day with Mike McDaniel. Mm-hmm. But yeah, the decision Thompson made was awful. Romo was saying, check crossing route, check it down. Anything than what Skylar Thompson did there. Anything. And that costed the Dolphins 7 points. And then, the other interception costed the Dolphins 7 points. So the Bills definitely need to be sharper in this game. If they want to advance, they definitely got to be sharper in this game. And then the Bengals, they did not run the ball at all against the Ravens, and their offensive line really, really struggled in that game. And I'm telling you, as I think who said it was Dobbins who said it. J.K. Dobbins said, if we had Lamar Jackson, we win that football game. And I agree with them. I mean, the Bengals, they need to be better stopping the run. They were outplayed against a Ravens team with a backup quarterback and almost lost that game. And thank God they ran that quarterback sneak with Tyler Huntley instead of running the ball with J.K. Dobbins, or they probably do lose that game. But for this game, I think this is a close competitive game. Both teams do struggle to run the ball, but I do think the Bengals will run it a little bit better against this defense than against the Ravens defense, because this defense isn't as good against the run as the Ravens defense is. Because they're better, their linebackers are better in pass coverage than stopping the run. So I do think that Mixon will have a better game this week. I do think Burrow throws a couple touchdown passes, but I do think he makes that big mistake. I do think Allen has a turnover, but I do think Allen makes more plays and less mistakes. And I do think this Bills defense, like last week, comes up with that huge stop at the end. I think this is a close, competitive game, but I am going to go with the Bills to get to the AFC Championship game and to head down to Atlanta to play the Kansas City Chiefs. I got the Bills beating the Bengals 30-24, but Justin, can Joe Burrow lead the Bengals back to the AFC Championship game?
I do. I got the Bengals 20-24. I do want to, with Thompson too, with the game last week, Hill and Waddle missed a couple. They dropped a couple of big balls early too, which I don't think helped Thompson out either in that game. That it could have been different. I feel like if they grabbed those balls or footballs early on in that game. But yeah, for this game now, I think the Bengals knock them off. I really haven't liked the way Allen just been sloppy the last couple weeks. Again, the 5 kind of red zone turnover interceptions this year. I really like how I know the Bengals didn't play well. Both teams didn't play well last week. But I think, Tyler Boyd, Higgins and Jamar Chase, I think they all could. I think they have big weeks. I don't know. I think Buffalo's going to struggle to slow those guys down. And I think they're going to have a tough time this week. I really haven't liked the way the Bills have been playing more. I think for the Bengals too, they did struggle without, I know bowl games are a divisional opponent, but that division, that's always such a weird division that I wasn't totally surprised that it stayed as close as it was last week. But and I think for the Bengals offensive line problems, I think if there's one guy that can overcome that, it's Joe Burrow. I think he plays well this week. I think Cincinnati goes up there, and I think they find a way to win. They've won 9 straight. I do like the Bengals. I think they spread around. I think wide receivers, Boyd, Higgins, Chase have big days. And I think the Bengals can kind of, and I'm interested if the Bengals kind of try to force the Bills to kind of run the football against them. Something like what the Packers did, try to beat them with the running game. I think the Bengals find a way to go up to Orchard Park and knock them off.
The big question is going to be is if Joe Burrow beats Josh Allen in this game, do we put Joe Burrow ahead of Josh Allen? Because this would be Joe Burrow's second trip to an AFC Championship game, so it would be more than Josh Allen. And he had been to and Burrow has been to a Super Bowl, and that's more than Josh Allen. So if Burrow wins this game on the road in Buffalo, like right now, obviously Mahomes is 1, and I have Allen 2, Burrow 3 in terms of quarterbacks in the league. Does Joe Burrow surpass Josh Allen if the Bengals win this game? I think he does.
Yeah, I think he does too. I think he's been a little bit better. I think this year too, Burrow's been a little bit more consistent than Josh Allen's been at times. Joe Burrow may not make all the flashiest plays like Josh Allen does, and even Mahomes, and he may not, but yeah, I think I'd have to put Burrow there. I again, what he's been able to do, like even going back to his rookie year, that roster wasn't great, and he came in and he kind of set the world on fire before his injury. So yeah, he's really changed his whole franchise around. Josh Allen's done that too with the Bills, but yeah, you mentioned Burrow be a second AFC Championship appearance already, and yeah, he's already got an appearance in the Super Bowl under his belt.
Yeah. I do think that, as I said, I do think that I would put Burrow ahead of Allen if he wins this game. But the reason I think the Bills win this game is if you look at the two games they played on wild card weekend, the Bills made a bunch of mistakes that are fixable. Turnovers are fixable. Bad plays on special teams are fixable. My problem with the Bengals is they got beat from scrimmage. They were outplayed. The Bills weren't outplayed by the Dolphins. The Bills just made a ton of mistakes in that game. They turned the ball over 3 times. They had poor special teams. They had a kick out of bounds. They had a terrible punt return. They weren't outplayed in that game. The Cincinnati Bengals were outplayed against the Baltimore Ravens. We're definitely outplayed. That's why I'm taking the Bills in this game. I think their mistakes are fixable. They made mistakes that are fixable. The Bengals got beat from scrimmage, and that's not fixable.
No, that's not. But it's a Ravens team that defense was playing really, really well the last couple weeks. I know it's a team, they had a backup quarterback going in there. But I'm not shocked to the Harbaugh coach team that they played the way that they did.
And good point. They definitely had the coaching advantage in that game.
Yeah, they did. They did. But like I know that they blew out the Pats. The Bills did. They did. Miami, the Miami game back in Week 16 wasn't great. I know they blew out the Bears, but I felt like down the stretch there were some times where Buffalo just wasn't. They were making mistakes that they really haven't corrected. I just don't think Josh Allen right now, for as great as he's been, I don't know if he's at the top of his game right now. I just did not like some of the turn. Like I thought they were just careless with the football on Sunday. And again, I know that's fixable, but it's been something that's going back, since his first couple kind of red zone interceptions this year. It was like midway through the season. So I don't know, that's where I worry about with the Bengals or with the Bills right now.
Yeah, if the Bills play the way they did Sunday, they're going to lose. They're going to lose the Bengals, and this is why this game is, this is probably going to be the closest game of the weekend. This is the one game we disagree on. Out of the 10 playoff games, it's the one game we disagree on. So but I think if the Bills play like they did on Sunday, I think they're going to lose the Bengals. But I think Sean McDermott's a good coach, and I just don't see them playing that way again. And I just think the Bills are the better football team. I think they got the better defense. They do have, I don't know, neither offensive line is good, but I do think they have a little bit better of an offensive line. So, in the run game, I think the Bengals is a little bit better, but still, Joe Mixon has not had that great of a year. Outside of that Panthers game, he's not had a great year. And the quarterback, I do give the Bills a slight edge. So I do think the Bills are a little bit better than the Bengals, but it should be a great game.
Yeah, no, you absolutely should. I think we're going to see a lot of points in this game. Two really good offenses, as we mentioned, two of the best quarterbacks in the league. They're right there. So yeah, this is going to be probably the game of the weekend. And again, I wouldn't be shocked if this is the game of the playoffs with these two quarterbacks and two teams. But yeah, this should be a really exciting game. I heard there's like a chance for maybe a little bit of a snow shower in this game, but nothing too dramatic. So I still assume like we're gonna see a lot of points from these two teams.
Oh, we absolutely can. We absolutely can. But the Ravens, Lamar's future with the Ravens is very, very uncertain right now. But before we talk about that, we're going to hear from our friends at JPEG Financial and Shamrock Home Inspections.
Do you have a 401k and some savings for future retirement, but don't even know if it's enough to live off of? How much is enough? How often are you thinking about it? The team at JPEX Financial Group can help set your mind at ease. We specialize in creating strategies in the planning and managing of your financial, educational, and investment needs. We help clients pursue their investment goals with sound financial strategies. You deserve a personal, tailored plan. Lasting, meaningful, and open relationships are the foundation of our practice. You've worked hard for your money and should feel confident in your investment choices as you make decisions for your financial future. Your goals are our goals. We are dedicated to your needs and hopes for your future. Visit our website and give us a call at 860-430-5397. Securities offered through Raymond James Financial Services, Inc., member FINRA, SIPC. Investment advisory services offered through Raymond James Financial Services Advisors, Inc. JPEX Financial Group, LLC is not a registered broker-dealer and is independent of Raymond James Financial Services. JPEX Financial Group is located at 78 Eastern Boulevard, Glastonbury, Connecticut. There's no bigger investment than home ownership. And to make sure the house is up to your standards, you need a professional to look it over. Brian Flanagan from Shamrock Home Inspections is a licensed home inspector and a member of the Connecticut Association of Home Inspectors. Brian was a contractor for over 15 years, so he knows how homes should be constructed and how mechanicals should work.
What makes me a good home inspector was the 20 years that I was a home improvement person, doing all the different repairs that I have done and what other people have done wrong that I had to go out and fix. So I have a pretty quick eye on seeing what's right and what's wrong. Before you move, call Shamrock Home Inspections.
Before you make the biggest investment of your life, call Brian Flanagan from Shamrock Home Inspections at 860-268-2566 or visit shamrockhomeinspectionct.com.
All righty, so we'll move on to the team that the Bengals beat in the playoffs, and that's the Baltimore Ravens. And the big story with the Ravens is Lamar's future with the team, and I think it's very, very uncertain right now with him. Just not even going to the game, which I think is totally selfish. I think you got to be at the game. Come on. You got to be there supporting your team. I mean, I think it's ridiculous he wasn't at the game. And then you see his Instagram post, which is I thought it was a complete shot at the Ravens. So I think his future is very, very uncertain with this team. I think these negotiations are going to go long, and they're going to definitely go into March. I think eventually the Ravens are going to franchise Lamar, but the question is are the Ravens going to is Lamar going to play on the franchise tag? This has been going on for 2 years. And I think this part of this is on both parties. But no, I think part of this is on both parties. Part of this is definitely on the Ravens because they really haven't paid him what he should be getting paid. I mean, he should be getting paid more than Kyler Murray and Russell Wilson right now. And part of it's on Lamar for not just. I mean, he has. I mean, yeah, as great as he is, he has one playoff win. I mean, for him not getting this done, and now I think it hurts his leverage a little bit more that he got hurt again. He's missed 10 games in the last 2 years. So I think this is on both parties, the Ravens and Lamar, and it is a mess in Baltimore right now.
Yeah, so I do know somebody. Actually, I saw him last night. So he played football in college. So one of his teammates in college is friends with Anthony Brown. So I guess they were playing Xbox tonight. Anthony Brown, the backcourt of the Ravens, said he's gone and that he probably could have played Sunday with a brace on. He thinks he's gone.
Wow. Oh, wow. So he could have played in that game. Oh,
I guess with a brace.
That's new news right there. That's definitely new news. I don't think that's even been brought up in any of the shows on the CMG network. So that was great that you broke that news right there, that he could have played in that game. Oh, so I think it's real. I think the issues in that Ravens locker room with Lamar, I think that's real.
Yeah, it made sense. That's what we were talking about last night. So I think he's gone. Yeah. I guess he didn't want to wear it because he was afraid of risking the ACL tearing it, which I do get. Which
you understand.
About to get
you saw what happened with
RG3.
You saw what happens with RG3 with his career. So I understand that. But if you're good enough to play in that game, what are you telling your teammates in the locker room? Your contract is more important than a Super Bowl run. That's what you're telling them. And that was a game. If he's on that field, they probably win it.
They probably do win it. they definitely do with Lamar Jackson there. So yeah, I'm a little bit surprised to hear that, but yeah, again, he doesn't have an agent. It's him and his mom, which is
another. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. You're not getting any big contract in the NFL without an agent. That was mistake number one. That's another thing that's on Lamar right there. Not having an agent.
No, I get trying to negotiate yourself, but yeah, this is why players have agents, so you don't go after. So like your agents go after the team, not you. So you don't break these, so that you don't get mad at the front office and all that. And yeah, I hope wherever he goes, and if it's back in Baltimore, they read the fine print or whatever. But that's something else you need the agent for. But yeah, we'll see. So it's an interesting tactic. But I'll ask you to this: for all the quarterbacks in the NFL, isn't Lamar Jackson like the most important player for his team because of the way the offense is ran in Baltimore? Like I think so, right?
Absolutely. The way they could, they run all those read options and zone reads. And another reason is they really haven't given him a number one receiver. And then you look at the record of the team since Lamar's been out. They're 2-8. 2-8 since Lamar Jackson's been out. Yeah, they won a couple games this year because their defense, they had a better defense than they had the year before. But so they're 2-8 without him. So yeah, he is definitely one of the most important players. He definitely is one of the most important players of that Ravens team. This isn't back. Let me tell you something. Here's something that's pretty obvious. Eric DaCosta is not Ozzie Newsome. Ozzie Newsome was one of the greatest GMs in NFL history. I mean, he won Super Bowls with Joe Flacco and Trent Dilfer. He's one of the greatest GMs ever. Eric DaCosta is definitely not as good as Ozzie Newsome, and he has definitely proven that, seeing the fact that he has not gotten our number one receiver in all of his years that he's been with the Ravens.
Yeah, they haven't. Mark Andrews has been great, but yeah, you tight end though. But yeah, they have not had that difference maker as a wide receiver. Bateman I thought could be pretty good. He hasn't been able to stay healthy, and he just hasn't done a ton, on the field yet. But yeah, it just, it's been a struggle for the Ravens to try to find that wide receiver. It's been like the Patriots the last couple of years. They just can't find that. They can't find that difference maker for their quarterback, and I think that's kind of been a problem for them. But yeah, those Ravens teams, back in the day with Flacco, they've still been good, but yeah, it hasn't been at the same level the last couple of years. And yeah, it's if they lose Lamar, it's really gonna hurt because you're gonna have to change the whole offense around. So I know Cornell is one of the best offensive coordinators. I know but again, it'd be a huge loss for them if they lose Lamar.
Oh, without a doubt. And they're not going to let him walk. They're not just going to let Lamar Jackson walk. They're at least franchising him. They're protecting him. Lamar is going to get franchised. And like I said earlier, the big question is going to be is he going to want to play on the franchise tag, or is he just going to want out, and the Ravens are going to have no choice?
Yeah. They may. Again, I would think they're probably, from the signs of things, that they're going to have to probably find a sign and trade partner and just and go that route with them because. Yeah, I think it's sounds like it may not work. And again, yeah, as we brought up, that's why you need an agent. So these things, so you don't go after your front office, and you don't get into these kind of wars with them about it. So yeah, I get it. And again, I know he wants to be paid up there with the Patrick Mahomes of the world and Kyler Murray's, and again, he's hasn't won the Super Bowl, but he's put up the production and he's won an MVP to kind of assert himself into that level. But yeah, I do think that he's probably played his last game in Baltimore.
Which is crazy. And that organization is going to be in big trouble next year without him, especially if they hold on to his rights until like the draft next year. Imagine if they hold on to his rights until after the draft and they can't even draft anyone. That team is going to be in huge trouble. I mean, that'll be a 5-6 win team at best without him next year.
Yeah, it probably would be, unless, I don't, depending on what, if they go after, I know it's another discussion for another day, but, do they go after Derek Carr or like somebody like that for a placeholder for a couple of years? Yeah. If not, yeah, it could be a couple. It's maybe a very long year for the Ravens, which in my lifetime, I really haven't seen the Ravens. I really haven't seen the Ravens. I've only seen the Ravens be in the playoffs. Be a weird thing to see the Ravens really struggle, like possibly could next year.
Absolutely. So we're going to wrap the show talking some UConn basketball. And after a red-hot start for UConn, they started 13-0. They have struggled. They have lost 4 of their last 6 games. They're now 4-4 in the Big East. They've lost 3 of their last 4. And why this came to our attention is because they lost to St. John's. That's where really, you can live with a loss. You can live with losses, at Marquette, at Providence. Definitely at Xavier. Those teams have been playing, really good. But the loss to St. John's at home, that's why this team has got our attention right now. And the big question is what has gone wrong the last 6 games?
Well, so my few things here. There's a couple of them. One, you don't really have a true point guard. You have Diarra, but he's too raw offensively right now. That really not really much of a scorer. Number 2, your team lacks toughness. Number 3, you cannot guard anybody man to man. You couldn't stop a chair right now if the chair sat in front of them. They wouldn't be able to stop that. Number 4, a lot of guys are head cases right now. I just think they lack a lot of confidence right now. Number 5, the game plan's are the same things every week. And there's two more. Well, one of them too is the ball movement's not as good as anymore. Again, that tournament in Portland, everybody was so unselfish. Now you're seeing a lot of guys just dribble around trying to create themselves. That they don't have that either. They don't have, besides Hawkins, but he's not a good enough ball handler that he can't really create on his own. And that's probably the last point. So I just there's a ton of issues. It's tough because Newton has kind of been the starting point guard, but he played a 2 guard at East Carolina his whole career. So now he's coming up to a bigger conference, and he's never really played the point guard spot. And I don't know if he did in high school or not. So it's a tough ask. Jackson, isn't bad, but he's gotten some dumb fouls. Sanago, I'm at the point with Sanago. Just go get your money at the end of the year. I'm kind of fed up with Sanago. He just, for a guy his bit size, he doesn't use the backboard and he doesn't go up strong. Everything's fading away from the hoop. I don't understand it. It's been for 3 years. I want to scream at TV every time I watch him go up. It's just the footwork's not great either from him. And the defense, again, St. John's, it's a 28% 3-point shooting team. Why are we so tightly on them at the 3-point line? That's all they wanted to do was go to the basket. They have some pretty good athletes at guard, and you saw it Sunday. They got absolutely punked and embarrassed. And again, yes, reffing's one thing. The reffing's bad in the conference as a whole. That's the Big East needs to fix that. But man, they got punked and they got embarrassed by a team of St. John's that their fans want that coach fired so that they can go win the Rick Pitino sweepstakes. So that's where St. John fans are at. So they're not happy that they knocked us off.
Yeah. Two questions here. We saw in 2011 and in 2014 the team not be great in conference play, especially in 2011 they were around 500 in conference play, but then they turned it around once it came tournament time. Do you think you could see the same thing here, and how do they do that?
Well, they don't have a Kemba Walker, Shabazz Napier. That's like Hawkins can be that guy, but Hawkins reminds me a little bit of me. Because I was a guy, because if Hawkins starts 0 for 3, he's going 1 for 11. That was me. Yeah. Like I was somebody that got in my own head when I played basketball. If I start out 3-3, I can go 9. I'll go 8 for 10 and have a great game. Like that's Hawkins. He's just, I think at times he's a head case with himself, and I think he lacked confidence at times. You saw it Sunday; he was on. He could be that guy, but I can't trust. They just don't have that point guard that can go get you a bucket like Kemba Shabazz can. But the thing is, though, in the tournament, I think like something like Portland, where you're out of Big East play, and some of these teams don't, they don't know what you want to do. Like they can't figure, and you have 9-10 guys that can kind of beat you any given night. So I think for the tournament time, they could be tough when you have to prep for them in a short turnaround. The only problem is, though, I just don't know who that guy is with 2 minutes left that you could confidently say, go get me a bucket.
Yeah, they really don't. And then you made the good point about there's no Shabazz, there's no Kemba on this team, and there isn't. And you said it with Hawkins. He's good, but he's not a really that good of a ball handler. And that, especially in this kind of basketball, that definitely hurts this team. Sanago's good, but he's not a ball handler. You saw, UConn, those last 2 teams that won the national title had great point guards with Kemba and Baz, and they don't have that on this team. And the other thing is the positive side. You said it in Oregon. This team is very deep, so maybe that helps them in the tournament. But we'll see. But right now, the way they're playing, I don't see this team making a run right now.
Yeah, Phil, I know. Right now, it's like I kind of think with the tournament they can, but I don't trust Hurley. I don't.
That's the other thing too. That's the other thing. A lot of these national championship teams had Jim Calhoun. I know the last one had Kevin Ollie, but they had a lot of guys that were recruited. There were Jim Calhoun guys on those teams. There's no Calhoun guys on this team. No, they're guys that Hurley recruited.
No, they're not. And, I think, with her, again, you remember it was 16, I believe. Rhode Island up double digits the entire half into Oregon. Absolutely collapsed the final 2 minutes of that game. Absolutely collapsed.
Yeah. That doesn't happen to Calhoun. That does not happen. He's calling the timeout. He's dropping F-bombs, and they're winning that game.
Yes, that's happening. So, Hurley, I hate to say it. I can't. And again, the Garden and Albany, they could have had those 2 spots, and I feel really good. Now, I don't think it's very likely that they, I don't think Albany is going to be in there. Maybe they somehow find a way to get in the East Regional. Who knows? If they can somehow get to the Garden for the Sweet 16, then I could say possibly if the match is set up. But I have to see Hurley win a tournament game first before I at this point where I could say, hey, I confidently believe that they could get to the Final Four.
Absolutely. So now we'll wrap up talking about the game with Seton Hall. And the thing is how do they stop depleting? What are they going to do to beat Seton Hall?
Well, I don't worry. I worry about this one because Seton Hall is starting to play better. They're, Holloway and the team seemed like they were having some issues, but they may be kind of figuring some things out. Seton Hall, they don't have a ton of great shooters, so they're going to get to the basket like St. John's did. Kadari Richmond had 30 against them last year. He's going to get to the line, and he's going to he's going to get a little basket, and that's worried. If I am Dan Hurley's out with COVID, so it's Tom Moore, which I don't think Moore was yet assistant on those early 90s. No, he wasn't, but I would press like those early 90s Calhoun's team would.
Yeah, he learned from Calhoun too. Tom Moore learned from Calhoun.
Yeah, he did. So I feel, we'll see what he's got. He's had a decade of head coaching experience at Quinnipiac, so we'll see what he's got tonight. But I'd press because you can't if he wants to sit in that man-to-man. Hurley likes to. You got to press. You got to speed him. Try to speed him up. You got to try to get some easy baskets. You just got to get some confidence going for these guys. Like I've never seen Sanago pass the basketball to the post so many times as he did Sunday.
Yeah.
Like, it's just right now you got to press. You got to try something because you're just getting beat off the ball every single time. Sanago's not a great defender. And Klingen, he doesn't jump, but again, because he's 7'2", 7'3", refs, refs, you never know how refs going to call that game.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, I just feel like, they got to press. They got to be better defensively. Shaheem Holloway, his team is starting to play better. We know he's a good coach. So this is going to be a really, really tough game for them. But if they can win this, I think things can turn around.
You could. This is going to be a war tonight. Like, Seton Hall is going to muck this thing up. They're going to want to play in the 60s. Yeah, this is part of the schedule where they got to find some wins. Like, you got Butler at home Sunday. You just got blown out to Creighton last night.
Butler's terrible.
They should. I like that. Dan Mata, is a good coach. Like, that's the one worry where I don't see them playing as bad as they did coming to XL on Sunday. And then you got Xavier team next Wednesday, which that will be first to 90. Those two teams right now do not play any defense. So, yeah, if you can win this one, again, then you got DePaul and Georgetown on the road back-to-back. Like, if you could kind of win this one, you could kind of, maybe go 4-1 and
I think this is the key game. I think this is the key game to get things turned around. I really do. Because if you don't win this one, you might beat Butler, but then, DePaul and Georgetown, those are conference road games, but this team has not played well on the road in conference.
No. DePaul just knocked off Nova. Stubblefield's not a great X's and O coach, but his teams play hard. And Georgetown's roster's not bad, and they play forward the first half. The problem is this Pat makes absolute zero adjustments.
He's a terrible
nothing
coach. He
to
needs
get
to be.
blitzed.
I don't know why he hasn't been fired yet. He's a terrible coach.
Yeah, his buyout's like $12 million. So I think for Georgetown that's a little steep for their likings, which is the problem right now. But again, this is, as you mentioned, I agree. This is the key game to get this thing kind of back on track, to kind of get some, because I just think this whole team right now is just lacking a lot of confidence right now. Yeah, and I think you could see it. So, again, they just got to find a way tonight to just win somehow on the road. A couple guys hopefully have a better game than they have. And, again, hopefully the confidence starts to peak up a little bit. Because, they just look miserable right now.
Yeah, it definitely has to. It absolutely has to. This is the key game tonight for UConn to win. But that's going to wrap it up this week on Sports Talk with R&J. For Justin and Afrio, I'm Steve Risser. We'll be back next week talking about Championship Sunday, UConn's big matchup at home against the Musketeers, and any NBA or NFL news that comes our way. Enjoy Divisional Round weekend, everyone.
Jones on first down, wide open, it's Barkley. And Saquon Barkley will take it into the end zone.
Your best ability is availability. Saquon Barkley, he's great when he's on the field, but the problem is since 2018, he hasn't been healthy for this team.
Look at this. They lob it to him. He taps it in off the glass. How about that?
Porter Moser, I think right now is the best coach in college basketball, hands down.
Vince 2 for 3. He's done his part. pitch is drilled to deep right field toward the poles, and it is gone.
They don't mind not being what they were in the 90s as the best organization in baseball, because the Yankees aren't even close to the best organization in baseball.
They're trying to be the Rays, and the Rays do this for a reason. Like, you're the Yankees.
Hello, my name is Joe Aguirre. I'm the president of Clovercrest Media Group, and here at CMG we have a wide variety of podcasts, including sports shows like Keys to the City, The Roll Call, Throwing Jabs, All Four Downs, and Jawing About the G-Men, and great true crime shows like Sticky Week, Crimes and Consequences, Ivy League Murders, and Bird, the unsolved murder of David Eichmann. You can find all these podcasts and so much more by visiting clovercrestmedia.com.